Hey there, gamers. This is Charlie with Gamer Professionals, and joining me right now is.
I'm Nick. I'm also with Gamer Professionals, but I don't really do any of the YouTube stuff. I'm more just a contributing writer at the moment. So, yeah.
Here Nick and I are going to do a bit of a discussion about Microsoft and Xbox's E3 show for 2019. We've heard a lot of news about it kind of leading up to it, both from some of the third party studios that are going to be represented there, and also from Microsoft and Phil Spencer themselves. But on top of that, we've seen a lot of rumors too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a lot of rumors. There's always a lot of rumors around E3 time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And a lot of them come true. Like a lot of the year you see a lot of like sort of fake leaks and fake rumors and stuff. But this is like a time of the year where most rumors that you see are probably true, unless they're from like 4chan or something.
Yeah, I mean, this E3 has been interesting, especially because a lot of the time things get leaked beforehand E3 and it's been great. Like this year, there's been barely any leaks, if any at all. So it's
Hmm.
like it's actually like super exciting going into E3 because I like there's like so much that people don't know about, and that's super exciting.
Yeah, we've actually had really very little leaks aside from there's been one really big leak from Ubisoft, actually. I haven't read a whole lot about the leak yet, and I don't want to put the leak in this video because there is going to be a Ubisoft press conference discussion video at a later
Hmm.
time. But yeah, Microsoft has had no leaks aside from one, and that was a leaked screenshot of a figure of I believe it was First Four Figures is doing a figure of Banjo Kazooie, and
Yeah.
it was a new design of his backpack, I think. I didn't really get super into this rumor thread, if you will, but there was a lot of discussion about his new backpack design that people were talking about. Oh, it's going to be a new Banjo game, and I do think that it may be appropriate timing because I mean we Rare is making games again for Microsoft, and they did just buy all these big AAA studios, so.
Yeah, no, I that was actually going to be like one of my like bold predictions is that I do think that there's going to be a new Banjo Kazooie game. I think it's honestly time. Like, I think people like the last Rare game, Sea of Thieves. Like, I think people are pretty much done with that game,
Mhm.
and I think that having a new Banjo Kazooie game would be like a killer first party exclusive for Xbox.
Absolutely. And I also think that it would be a really good way to kind of dominate the news cycle. I mean,
Oh,
obviously, Microsoft doesn't have the best position because we have news coming for Pokemon, which is the biggest IP in the world, and then you have news coming from Google, which is also huge, and then you have news about a Star Wars game, which is another massive IP, and then after it, you have you have Nintendo, who tends to dominate the news cycle for E3. Once the press conferences are done, Nintendo tends to kind of like take over because not only do they have their own direct, but they also kind of have their treehouse streams, and because they're last, they get a lot of the.
yeah, I think Nintendo's position is really smart because it's like they have their direct, and then immediately after the direct is over, the show floor opens, and then
Mhm.
people like so they see the direct, people watch the direct, and then they want to rush right over to Nintendo's booth and play all the new games that were just announced. So
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
like a really smart strategy.
And I do think that because of that, I think that Microsoft may actually. This is not a prediction that I've made on here because I don't think I would put this in Microsoft, but I think that this. Well, I guess this is both. I think the resurgence of Banjo means that we could maybe see him in Smash.
Yeah, I yeah, that was gonna be another like one of my predictions is that I think that I do honestly like because Nintendo and Microsoft have been super like buddy buddy lately. So
Hmm.
I think that I think it's pretty much inevitable at this point that a Microsoft character is going to be one of the DLC fighters.
Right.
Um, and I think that if they're making a new Banjo Kazooie game, that I think it would make a whole lot of sense for Banjo Kazooie to be the next Smash player
Hmm.
or Smash fighter. And I think that Nintendo actually has a decent chance of actually showing up at the Microsoft conference.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that was something I was
it
thinking of. Oh, sorry.
if it wasn't Banjo Kazooie, I would honestly think that it would either be probably Steve from Minecraft or maybe Master Chief. But I think I think Banjo Kazooie makes the most sense, or he's at least my pick for the next DLC fighter.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I think that Steve and Banjo are both like pretty viable picks. I would like to see Master Chief in Smash, but honestly, I think that it's also possible that we get a Bethesda character, and I think that Doom Guy would kind of play similarly to Master Chief, and I think that Doom Guy would also be a really interesting addition.
Yeah, Doom Guy is like one of those just like super out of left field characters that
Mm.
I would never see coming, or I would never even expect to see in the game at all. But I if Doom Guy's coming, I don't think he'll be at E.
No, no, I think Doom Guy would be like if unless there's some big like Bethesda dedicated section of Nintendo's E3 Direct. But anyways, um, in that vein of Nintendo and Microsoft working together, I think that one of my two predictions that relate to the Switch in this that have Nintendo showing up are Ori 1 and 2 coming to Switch, and that's tied into an Ori 2 release date. And
Mhm.
then we also get a cup the release date for Cuphead Delicious Last Course DLC, but I think it's going to be coming first to Xbox One and then to PC and Switch.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I do. I think if Nintendo were to show up at Microsoft conference, it might be for Cuphead.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think they would show up to reveal the Smash DLC character at Microsoft conference. I think
No,
they would save that
no,
for the direct.
yeah, that's
So
going the direct.
I think maybe it would be yeah. So I would say that either like maybe Ori like or the Cuphead DLC launching simultaneously on the Nintendo Switch would be a good excuse for Nintendo to show up. But
Mm-hmm.
I think those would be like the two main.
Yeah, and then maybe a multi-platform game that does involve some kind of multiplayer, and then obviously like cross-platform multiplayer, and then obviously we did see Microsoft talking about bringing their or we saw rumors and rumblings about Microsoft bringing some of their services to the Switch as well, in addition to their games, and I think that we're gonna see stuff with Microsoft putting their stuff on not just Nintendo's devices but also Sony devices, and that also ties into another thing that I think we're going to see. I don't think that Sony's going to really have a presence at E3. We know that they don't have a stage presence, they don't have a press conference, they don't have anything of the sort. But what I do see happening is them talking briefly about Xbox Scarlet, and then following that up with we're going to enable game streaming on this, and we're working with Sony Interactive on it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll mention Sony press conference, but I do believe that they will tease Project Scarlet in some capacity.
Uh-huh.
I don't think they'll get too specific. I think they'll just highlight some of the key features, like they'll talk about backwards compatibility, maybe the power of the system, or
Mm-hmm.
like how they're expanding Xbox Live.
Yeah.
And going back to what you were saying earlier, that I think that Xbox Live, going onto other platforms, I think that because currently, like when you play Cuphead on Nintendo Switch, you can unlock Xbox Live achievements, and you can do that for Minecraft as well. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to get even bigger than that, and we might get a tease of that at E3.
Okay. Yeah. And and back what you were saying about Scarlet and what I was saying a little bit. I think that I don't know if you remember 2017's press conference, but at the very beginning they came out of the gate swinging with their reveal of the One X,
Yeah,
where they showed like that really cool like CGI trailer and everything. And I think we're gonna see something similar to that at the beginning, but too long, too drawn out, and too dry. I think that's gonna be a theme overall of the Xbox press conference. Like last year's was really great, but it was also really long, and this year is gonna be
yeah,
it's gonna be 2 hours again, which is way too long. And I think it is gonna trim the fat a little bit from last year, but I still think it's gonna feel like really long in the tooth.
yeah.
Um,
Going back to your first point, that's like where I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. Is I don't think that they're gonna show off a trailer for it. I think they might save that for like they might have a whole event just dedicated to the
oh yeah,
Project
yeah,
Scarlet.
I could see that.
I think they might save it for the end. Like they kind of very quickly teased like that they were working on an Xbox last year at the end of their E3 press conference.
Uh huh.
Um, So I think they might do that again, but they might get a little more specific. And yeah, going to your second point of, it's going to be 2 hours. And Phil Spencer on Twitter I actually just wrote an article about this this week. Phil Spencer is making a lot of big promises on Twitter about this presentation. So, it's like it gets you excited, but at the same time, it's like, as much as Phil Spencer might be excited, is it going to be really that exciting?
Right. Right.
So I'm trying to keep my expectations lower, like, because he's really like hyping it up to be like super crazy, like 2 hours nonstop reveals, 14 new exclusives, Project Scarlet, all this other stuff. And it's just like, you have to just keep your expectations in check, because if you don't, then you're just going to end up being disappointed.
Yeah. And in the vein of those exclusives, let's talk a little bit about that, because there's a lot to talk about. I mean, 14 exclusives. They didn't specifically say that there would be new exclusives. They said that there would just be first party and exclusive content in the form of games and DLC being shown. So I think I'm just gonna get the obvious one out of the way. Something about Minecraft. I think that we can't escape Minecraft. It's too big. It makes way too much money for them not to say something about Minecraft, even if it's pretty short. Because the past like 2 or 3 years, we've had some big information about Minecraft. Last year, we actually had a Nintendo Switch in the press conference, and it was talking about or I don't remember if that was 2017 or 2018, but we recently had Minecraft in the actual press conference, and it was very clearly shown and displayed. And then I don't know if that was the same year or the year before that, when they revealed the Xbox One, they actually showed off a new 4K texture pack for Minecraft. And I do think that they might do something similar again when they tease Scarlet. Again, this is where our predictions differ a little bit, but I think if and when they tease Scarlet, I think they're going to show off Minecraft in 4K, but with ray tracing.
Yeah, I definitely think that Minecraft will be there in some capacity. I feel like Minecraft is kind of like Forza in a way, that it's like we're gonna see something every single year from that franchise. Minecraft, even though like it's kind of like its time in the spotlight is kind of over, but it's still just a huge game that is insanely popular, makes a crap ton of money. So yeah, I definitely believe Minecraft will be there in some capacity. They'll show off a new texture pack or a new game mode or something.
And in that same vein of Forza, that was actually another thing. I'm sure you're thinking that that's going to happen too. Is Forza Motorsport 8, which is more their traditional racing game sort of thing, rather than the Horizon series.
Yeah, I do think Forza Motorsport 8 will be there. I've never found Forza to be a particularly exciting franchise. I always
Me neither.
tend to prefer the Horizon series over the Motorsport series. But I do think Forza Motorsport 8 will be there, but I also believe that they might show off DLC for Forza Horizon 4.
Have they done DLC for the Horizon games in the past?
They have, but it's never been like a thing, I believe. But don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Would you mind if I threw out another prediction?
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
I think that we were talking about Rare earlier. I think that I think they're gonna tease like a new Sea of Thieves update.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that they really need to like get the game. They really need to make the game like more popular. Like, because so many people like were totally hurt like by that game. Like people thought it was gonna be great, and it ended up being so disappointing. So.
Yeah, and I do think that I think that that's going to be something that we're going to see more and more, especially this E3, is that as the console generation is kind of winding down a little bit, we're going to see a lot less new game announcements and more like legacy content and games as a service sort of thing. So like for a game like Sea of Thieves, where we're gonna see like bigger DLC packs and stuff, it's probably gonna be the same thing with EA, same thing with Ubisoft, and same thing with Bethesda and maybe even Nintendo. I mean, I do think that that's gonna be a big recurring theme, and I think that's also why we're seeing like Sony not at the show, is because they don't really have a whole lot to talk about yet. They're not quite ready to do a full reveal, and I think they want to do it separate from E3. And I think that a lot of when they say 14 first-party titles, I think a lot of that stuff is going to be DLC, like we were talking about with Minecraft, like we were talking about, like you said, with Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah. Um, definitely. I definitely see what you're saying. I feel like this press conference will be less about what is coming to Xbox One and more just what the future of Xbox is.
Yeah,
Because I feel like Microsoft knows that they've pretty much lost this cycle of consoles. You know, there's no way they could ever even possibly catch up to Sony, and Nintendo's about to surpass them in sales.
yeah,
So I think while they're definitely going to show off some games that will be coming to Xbox One this year and next year. I definitely think that a lot of the press conference is going to be geared toward like the next couple years or the next generation.
yeah. And I do think that that like speaking of speaking of Gears, uh, one of their biggest reveals from last year, aside from Halo Infinite, or on top of Halo Infinite, was was 3 Gears of War games being developed, and I
Yeah.
do think that at least Gears 5 is going to be a cross platform game. So it's probably gonna like it. I'm thinking that it'll launch on Xbox One and Xbox Scarlet simultaneously, so they'll give us a release date for that, and obviously new trailer.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, um, I think it will launch simultaneously. I think that's a good possibility, but I also believe that one of the major features of Project Scarlet or the next Xbox will be backwards compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
So if the game, like hypothetically, if the game launches this year or next year, if you buy a Scarlet, you can, you'll be able to still play Gears 5.
Mm-hmm.
You'll maybe there'll be an update that will upgrade the textures or whatever to like take full advantage of the new hardware.
Yeah.
But I definitely get what you're saying.
And do you have any other predictions about some of the first party stuff?
I think that we're gonna see Ninja Theory's new game because they were recently acquired by Microsoft, the people who made Hellblade.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see their new game, and I think it's gonna be an exclusive, and I think it could be launching in a year or two.
Mm-hmm. That's actually right in line with what I was thinking. I was thinking because they've acquired in the past year, they've at least that they've announced that or when they've announced it, it's been in the past year that they've acquired. I think it's 7 new studios that they're basically making that are now under the Xbox Studios umbrella.
Yeah,
And I was thinking the same thing. I think Ninja Theory, and I think I don't think Playground Games is going to be there, but I do think that Ninja Theory and maybe Obsidian Games are going to be showing their next projects, or at least teasing their next projects. Um,
didn't Playground make didn't they make We Happy Few, or was that a different studio?
I don't remember which studio made We Happy Few, but Playground did make Forza Horizon 4.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, so I mean, it's funny that Microsoft says like, "Oh, we've acquired Playground Games," and that's like a big like thing, but it's like they already were like really closely partnered with them, and
Mm-hmm.
they make exclusives for Microsoft already. So it's like it's not even like really that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's going to be another like kind of recurring theme that we're going to see within Microsoft's show is that like most of their stuff it might not be necessarily known commodities, but it's going to be pretty easy to tell like what's going on and what's coming, at least in this show. And I think it's going to be good stuff, but I think they're going to be acting like it's like these big reveals and big surprises when it's not really that big. It's going to be a lot of stuff that we can kind of see coming based on like things they've said, patterns, and like previous patterns that they've shown in terms of releases and announcements, but also like when they like the stuff that they've announced last year. Like there's a lot of stuff that they announced last year that was first party that they haven't given us any new information about.
Yeah, and one of those games, I think Battletoads is gonna get
Yes.
shown off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
Sure.
Battletoads is going to be like one of their. I think that Battletoads might even have a possibility of being like their big shadow drop during their show.
Like Shadow dropped as in like it's gonna come out in the next couple months, you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Like still come out this year? Yeah, I could see that because like it just depends on like what it is, I guess. Like if it's like a brand new game or like taking it into like taking the series into a new direction,
Mm-hmm.
I could see it being a Shadow drop title, but I could also see it like them just teasing it as maybe a next year title as well.
Yeah, because uh, like based on what I just rewatched the trailer because I've been trying to like take some notes for this, and I went back and I looked for like a nice Microsoft E3 2018 highlight and recap video, and a bunch of them didn't have Battletoads in it,
That's so weird.
which is weird. But I went back and I looked for Battletoads reveal trailer Microsoft E3 2018, and it specifically said that it was 3-player couch co-op, or up to 3-player couch co-op, 2.5D and hand drawn.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be, from what I understand, it's gonna be at least for this specific entry in the series, it's gonna be similar in terms of mechanics, or at least gameplay wise and look wise. Obviously, the one that I always think about is the NES version, and the NES has a lot less options for controls and just general like graphical capabilities, obviously, compared to an Xbox One. But I do think that it's gonna be like gameplay and mechanics wise, it's gonna be somewhat similar.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. I got a chance to like, cause I recently, well, not recently, but like a year ago, I bought like Rare Replay and I
Mm-hmm.
played Battletoads. And while I didn't like delve too deep into it, I enjoyed what I played, so I'm really looking forward to this new game.
Yeah, and I think that Battletoads is gonna be like just one of their bigger like first party things. And speaking of big first party things, we have two last oh, I forgot to mention when we were talking about Playground Games, um there have actually been some pretty, not only just rumors, but like pretty decent, like pretty well founded rumors. And I don't know whether it's apt to call them leaks or not because we don't know if it's true, but pretty well founded and well sourced kernels of information relating to what Playground Games is making, and a lot of people are saying they're making Fable 4.
Yeah, that was going to be another one of my predictions. A lot of people believe Fable 4. I think I've never played the Fable games, but um I do think there are some validity to those rumors.
Yeah, and I've never played Fable either, so I don't really know like whether or not that's doable with the current development cycle. And obviously, Playground Games is like a big AAA studio, so it does make sense for them to have multiple projects going on at once. Um,
Yeah.
and then for the last first party game that we haven't really talked about, that I'm sure is on your list too, that we saw last year, is Halo Infinite.
Yeah, I think that game will be blown out. Like they'll
Yeah.
show a ton off.
Mm. And I
I think we'll
think,
get a trailer and the whole nine yards. I think someone will come out and talk about it. They'll go into detail. They'll do a gameplay demo.
yeah, and I think that something that I really haven't, I mean, I haven't played a lot of the more recent Halo games because I like personally prefer the multiplayer the most, and I haven't owned Xbox Live in a while, and I also have been not like playing my Xbox that much recently. Um, but I one of the things that I know that really like brought Halo forward wasn't just the online multiplayer, but it was the local multiplayer. And I think that's something that we're gonna see come back in Halo Infinite, is something relating to couch co-op, or not even couch co-op, but local multiplayer, like split screen multiplayer.
Yeah, I yeah, I definitely think that that is a possibility. I think there are going to be a bunch of new game modes. I think that um, the story is going to be very, very interesting. And it's going to be, people are going to see that it's going to be a clear upgrade or maybe at least an evolution from Halo 5.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that in many ways they're gonna like take, because Halo 4 and 5 both got a good amount of criticism from fans, but they also got a lot of praise. Like I think most people say that Halo 5 has one of the better multiplayer modes in the game, in the franchise, but both Halo 4 and Halo 5 have been kind of like not necessarily reviled, but certainly criticized in terms of their story. And I think that that's going to be something that 343 Studios is going to really put a lot of time and effort into, is really making sure that the story meets the expectations of the longtime fans.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you.
And then outside of the first party titles that have been guaranteed by Phil Spencer. In I think that was Phil Spencer, right, in his tweet.
Yes.
Okay, so on top of that, I think that we obviously saw some stuff from last year that was in Microsoft's press conference that was third party that still hasn't come out yet, and one of those things was Dying Light 2.
Yeah. I think that could definitely get another trailer.
And I think that's also going to get a release date. I mean, it makes sense. I've done a little bit of light research, and it seems like that game is going to be coming out this year. So I think that because the studios that are making Dying Light aren't really going to have their own press conference to show it at, so I think that if they show it off at Microsoft's press conference again, and that's a release date, I think that's the best move for them because they're not going to have
Yeah.
many eyes on their stuff otherwise.
I think the new trailer is going to highlight one of the like big changes that they emphasized in last year's conference, that like your choices is going to be like really really important.
Hmm.
I think that's going to be a big aspect of the game, and they're going to show that off in every capacity. And I think it will get a release date.
Yeah. And then I think we can. I'm just gonna rattle a few things off, just like because they're all pretty closely related, and we can discuss like after like because this is like all four of these things. They're all very closely connected. So firstly, I think they're gonna steal all the third party stuff that Sony shows off at their press conferences. I think they're gonna
Yep.
get all the EA stuff that usually gets shown at their own press conferences. They're gonna have Todd Howard on stage again talking about Bethesda stuff, and they're gonna have the typical Ubisoft stuff as well.
Yeah, I think Todd Howard could show up if he has like his own game to announce. But yeah, I definitely do think that a lot of the third party games will be at Microsoft show. That's why it's 2 hours long.
Right, right.
Like I think Ghost Recon Breakpoint is going to get a trailer at Microsoft's conference.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I also think maybe they'll show off Age of Empires 4 because that game was teased last year for PC, but I think it could also get released on Xbox.
And this is obviously a Microsoft press conference, so if it's being put on Windows, they might try and shoot in
Yeah,
some Windows stuff in there too.
yeah, exactly. Um, and this is like totally. Do you mind if I throw like a personal prediction out
Oh
there?
yeah, for sure.
So last year in the press conference, it was really short, but they showed off a little. They showed off an indie game called Tunic,
Hmm.
and you play as a
Oh
little
yeah,
fox, and you run around a forest, and it looked like a 2D Zelda game.
yeah, that looked
And
awesome.
that game looks awesome. I really hope that that shows up again. I really want to know when that game is coming out.
Yeah, and I think that that's another candidate for maybe not necessarily a day of drop, but I think a shadow drop is going to be is in order. Like I really, yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, man. I really, really, really want to see that game.
Yeah.
Um, but one of the things that I was that based like similar to what you were saying about Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Breakpoint is that I think that Ubisoft is going to show, if not a trailer for that game, then they're going to tease or show a trailer for a completely new game and say, hey, come and watch our press conference. It's tomorrow at, I think it's 1 p.m. Come watch. It's going to be a fun time, whatever they're going to do. And then they're going to have like Yves Guillemot out on stage with Phil Spencer. He's going to talk a little bit and say, hey, come watch our press conference.
Yeah. No, I think that is definitely a possibility. Like I think like last year, Todd Howard went on stage and he announced Fallout 76.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's definitely a possibility. I don't know if Todd Howard's going to show up again because I feel like the blowback from Fallout 76 was so big that I feel like Bethesda might be holding back a little bit this year,
Yeah.
kind of staying in the shadows and only talking about what they have to talk about because people are going to be really scrutinizing everything they show off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's that's a really good prediction that Bethesda's going to be super conservative, playing it safe the entire show this year, not like last year where they had Andrew WK playing stuff
Yeah,
on
I
stage.
mean, literally all of E3, they were just talking so much about Fallout 76 and just hyping it up. And, you know, Todd Howard's like his whole spiel was all about how great it was. And then it was all just a total lie.
Mm-hmm.
and it was like it just left such a bad taste in people's mouths. So I think Bethesda is really going to be keeping or playing it safe this year.
Yeah, and but I do think that they're gonna show off. I think maybe another trailer for an enhanced version of Doom Eternal.
Yeah,
And I think that would be a great thing because they're playing it safe. Doom Eternal, like I don't see a universe where that isn't at least as good as Doom 2016,
yeah,
unless it's a completely different team, which we know it isn't. And I think that a good way to like play it safe, but also have some Bethesda stuff in there, is to have someone from Bethesda show a Doom Eternal trailer, like short and sweet, but upscaled to 4K, just because that's kind of the whole Microsoft's whole MO is like this unbelievable power in a fairly affordable box.
yeah. Um, I totally agree with that. I think if they showed off Doom Eternal at Microsoft's conference, it would make a lot of sense, and it would be playing it safe because I don't think anyone thinks that that game is going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think that has a real possibility of showing up, and then obviously they would show off more at their own press conference.
Right. And another thing that I think we're gonna see that's really big is Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh yes, I think we might even get a release date, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's definitely going to get another trailer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
Gonna have a big focus because that was their big thing last year at the very end.
yeah, and that reveal at the end set the internet on fire. I mean,
Yeah,
up until that was basically the talk of the town until Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then after that it was the demo, because Cyberpunk 2077 was the game that a lot of people who were there said was their favorite game of the show, and no one knew what they were talking about. And then they released this 45-50 minute gameplay demo that all the press got to play.
yeah,
And
yeah. It's sorry. Go ahead.
no, you go.
I yeah, I mean, I think that 45-minute gameplay demo like really just did a great job of getting everybody excited for it. So I think people are going to be really, really looking forward to seeing more from that game. Maybe not 45 minutes worth, but
Yeah.
definitely we're gonna get another like a crazy trailer that's gonna excite a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. It would be unbelievable. It would be crazy if that were like half an hour of the 2 hour press
Right?
conference.
Yeah.
That would be unbelievable.
I wouldn't even complain if it was
Yeah, me neither.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that that's going to be a big deal. And obviously, CD Projekt Red did come out and say that Cyberpunk 2077 will not be playable on the show floor at E3 in any way.
Yeah.
So I do think we're going to see another similar big drop of a gameplay demo that the press got access to.
Hmm.
And I think it is going to be running either on a developer kit for Scarlet or an Xbox One X, and that's gonna be a big thing that Microsoft is gonna tout.
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
And then another big third party title that's gonna sell well, even if not everyone's that excited for it, is Call of Duty. And Sony's gone. They usually like to show their stuff in Sony's press conferences, but obviously with Sony out of the picture, I think that they're gonna show some stuff in Microsoft's conference.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. It's going back to the 360 days where Call of Duty and Xbox to be like what everyone would think of called think Xbox.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be interesting. I'm not a big Call of Duty fan, so I'm not really looking forward to that game very much. But I think it will be there for sure.
And then one other, we've covered basically everything that I think we're gonna see. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you think we're gonna see?
I have one other tiny thing, and this is again more of a personal hope. Is so recently the game A Hat in Time released DLC on Steam.
Mhm.
Their Seal the Deal DLC, and I love that game very, very much. It's one of my favorite games, and they've talked about how they're working on the Switch port, and or Gears for Breakfast has talked about how they're working on the Switch port, and that they're currently only developing DLC for Steam or for PC. And I do think, at least I hope, that they will show a teaser or a short trailer saying that the DLC is coming to Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a. Oh, sorry.
Because I have been waiting for that to come to Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good prediction because I think that Microsoft. Obviously, we've seen Nintendo get a lot of success with like how they're supporting indies, and I think that Microsoft is they kind of had a little bit of that last year in their show, and the year before that they also had a little less of it. But so I think they're going to keep building on it, and I do think that Ahead in Time is a great candidate because we haven't really seen any of the big. The big three first party publishers really talking much about it, but it's an incredibly popular game.
Yeah.
I mean, like even YouTubers who don't really do like a lot of PC gaming related coverage have done stuff related to A Hat in Time, and I think that that's going to be a big deal. I mean, obviously, I think that A Hat in Time being shown in the in the same press conference as a new Banjo game certainly makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I just think, like, I know Gears for Breakfast is a very small developer, but as someone who bought it on Xbox, I really just hope that DLC is coming because I know they're working on the Switch port. I know they're working on the DLC for Steam, but I feel almost left behind as an Xbox player with that game because I feel like they're constantly adding new stuff to Steam and they're just kind of leaving the Xbox version in the dust. And so I think that this would be a good opportunity from not only Microsoft to show that, like, hey, we're also very dedicated to indie developers, but I think it would be a good opportunity for Gears for Breakfast to say that, hey, we are dedicated, or we're still, going to bring the extra content to the other platforms.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the last thing that I have on my list that we haven't really talked about, well, actually two things, but one is actually a game, is last year during their show, one of the reveals that I personally forgot about because I'm not really a big like fan of skateboarding games and simulation games was a game called Session, which looked to be pretty like reminiscent of like the Tony Hawk style things, where it seemed to be like kind of a combination of like an open world and mission based skateboarding game, and I think that that's going to be something that they're pushing because that also is an indie game. It's surprising. I was actually surprised by that because the trailer itself was really beautiful and it looked like it was like a AAA game, but actually the game itself was kickstarted.
Yeah. I don't know a ton about that game, but I think it will be there. I mean, yeah, that's really all I have to say about it.
and then the last prediction that I had was just that we're gonna see more news about Games Pass.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it'll be like a huge announcement. I think someone will come on stage and say, "Hey, we have these games, and they're great games, and they're coming to Game Pass, and we're gonna discount Game Pass again for 3 months." Game Pass was only $1 for like 3 months in a row.
Really? Wait, when?
Yeah. I don't remember, but it was not that long ago. Game Pass was like $1 a month for 3 months.
That's
and it was awesome. So I think that they'll have someone come on stage and they'll announce new games pass and they'll maybe discount it again to get people excited for it because I do think Microsoft is really, really heavily pushing the games as a service type thing.
Yeah. And then just to kind of sum it all up and wrap it in a little bow, how are you feeling about the show overall?
I'm really, really excited. I cannot believe that it's going to be 2 hours long. But I would say that my hype is at like an 8 or a 9 right now. So I am feeling really, really good about it. I always until I got a PlayStation, like Microsoft and Nintendo were like the two big conferences that I always tuned in for. And as time has gone on, like I've watched almost every conference every year, but Microsoft and Nintendo were like the two conferences that I always watched every time I'd watch E3. So I'm always I'm always excited to see what Microsoft has to show off. And ever since the Xbox One came out, Microsoft has been on an uphill battle. They're always trying to like show off crazy stuff and get people excited for Xbox. So I think that this year will be no different.
Yeah, and
They're going to show off some great stuff.
And I think yeah, in terms of it being an uphill battle, I think every single year too, it's gotten better and better and better for Microsoft in terms of their releases. And yeah,
I would even argue, like, even though like I'm a Nintendo fan, I'd argue that even Microsoft had a much better showing than Nintendo last year.
Absolutely. I think that like if I wasn't such a big competitive Smash Bros player, like I would not have liked Nintendo's press conference last year because aside from Smash, they showed Fortnite, Hollow Knight,
Mario Party.
and Daemon X Machina.
Yeah.
I don't like Mario Party. It's just not a series that's been for me.
Really?
X Machina, yeah, it's good. I'll never say it's a bad game, but I can't. Especially when there are other party games that Nintendo makes that have like the same amount of polish, but like in my opinion, more skill based gameplay. I've just never understood the appeal of Mario Party.
Fair enough. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
But I think that last year, like where Nintendo focused on one game, Microsoft had just like an unbelievable slew of games, and they really just knocked it out of the park last year. So yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you that it's gonna. I think it's gonna be as good as, if not better than last year, and I think they're really gonna kick ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that's about it for our E3 Microsoft at E3 2019 predictions. You can find me on Twitter at CHAS_MKE. And Nick, where can everyone find you on Twitter?
You can find me on YouTube at NJF Productions, and you can also find me on Twitter at NJF Productions. And I'm also a contributing writer for Gamer Professionals, so you can find my articles. I write about one article a week for them, so you can find me and all of my work on the website.
Awesome. All right, guys, and let us know what you guys think is gonna, let us know what predictions you guys have for the show and what you thought of our predictions, and maybe even if you're feeling like it, if you wanna go ahead, take scores, see how we do. Anyways, guys, thank you all very much for watching. Make sure to check out our website and Twitter accounts for more in-depth gaming and tech news and reviews. Peace out.